The Void is calling, and it has already claimed dozens of the Amazing World of Gumball characters you used to love. From the original design of Gumball to the missing sister of Tobias, the list of deletions is massive. Most fans do not realize that the show is actually clearing out space for better ideas by dumping the old ones into a glitchy dimension. It has been missing for years, but the truth about Rachel Wilson is finally surfacing. If a character is not pulling their weight, they are sent to the void, and that is putting it lightly. Elmore is a place where a blue cat and goldfish with legs can do anything, but even they cannot find Rachel Wilson anymore. She was the older sister of Tobias, and she had a very big role in the early episodes. She was a cloud girl with rainbow hair and a very mean attitude that fit right in with the school crowd. In the episode called The Party, she was the host of a massive event that everyone wanted to attend. She even had a romantic moment with Darwin, which should have made her a permanent part of the cast. Instead, she just stopped appearing after the first season ended. What most people do not realize is that she was not just put in the background. She was completely removed from the world. Her design was bright and she had a lot of energy, but the people making the show felt she was too much of a cliche. She represented a very specific type of mean teenager that did not fit with the weird vibe they wanted for later seasons. Basically, she was deleted because she was not unique enough to keep up with the changing style of the show. Her last real appearance was on a computer screen before she was never mentioned again. In the world of the show, this disappearance is actually explained by a place called the Void. This dimension is full of things that the world has forgotten, like old internet memes and 8-track tapes. It is a cosmic garbage bin where the universe puts its mistakes. Rachel was the first major character to fall into this limbo. When you look at the class photos in later episodes, her face is sometimes missing or replaced. It is like the world of Elmore is actively trying to forget she ever existed. This is not just a mistake by the writers, but a deliberate choice to clean up the cast. The show eventually introduced the Void as a real location, which confirmed that characters could be erased for being boring. Rachel Wilson was the test case for this idea. Her personality was a bit too normal for a show that was becoming more and more insane every week. She did not have a special gimmick or a weird shape that made her stand out among the other students. Hands down, her removal was one of the biggest shocks for early fans who expected her to stay around. For years, people wondered if she would ever come back for a reunion. As the show moved into the second and third seasons, the animation style started to change. Characters became more expressive and the backgrounds became more detailed. Rachel was a product of the season 1 style, which was a bit more simple and stiff. When the creators decided to move away from that look, she was left behind. It is like she was a piece of software that was no longer compatible with the new operating system. Everyone is obsessed with where she went, but the answer is simply that she was no longer needed. This key detail about her being a mistake is what makes the Void so scary. The way the show handles these deletions is very meta because the characters sometimes notice things are missing. Gumball and Darwin eventually find the Void and see all the things that have been removed from their lives. They see old toys and old friends frozen in static. Rachel Wilson is likely floating in that darkness right now, waiting for a chance to return that will probably never come. Her story is a warning that in Elmore you have to be interesting or you will be replaced. Things get even crazier when you realize that she was not the only one to be changed by the creators. A hidden secret in the character designs is about to come to light. Soft deletions are much more sneaky than what happened to Rachel because the character stays but their old self is gone. Penny Fitzgerald is the best example of this kind of erasure. For the first few seasons, everyone knew her as a peanut with antlers. She was shy and hidden inside a brown shell that never changed. This design was simple and it worked for a while, but it also limited what she could do. In the episode called The Shell, her exterior finally cracked and her true form came out. She turned into a glowing shape-shifting fairy that could become any animal she wanted. This was a massive change that effectively deleted the old Penny forever. The peanut version of her is now considered a mistake or a limitation that had to be removed. When she stepped out of that shell, she became a completely different character with new powers and a new look. What most people do not realize is that the animators wanted to give her more emotions. It is hard to show a character being happy or sad when they are stuck inside a giant peanut. By breaking her shell, they deleted the version of her that fans had known for years. Bobert is another character who went through a soft deletion that changed everything. In the early days, he was a very blocky robot with a simple metallic body. He looked like something from an old science fiction movie. But as the show went on, he received an upgrade that made him look much more modern and sleek. This new version of Bobert had more features, but it also meant the original design was tossed into the scrap heap. In one specific episode, the characters even talk about how the old version of him is useless compared to the new one. These changes are a way for the show to stay fresh without losing the main cast. It is a clever trick to keep the audience interested. However, it also means that the history of these characters is being rewritten as they go. The old Penny and the old Bobert are now just memories or ghosts in the machine. I'm not gonna lie, it is a bit weird to look back at season 1 and see how different everyone looked. It is like they are completely different people inhabiting the same names. The show is constantly evolving, and that means the old versions have to die. Even the main characters Gumball and Darwin were not safe from these soft deletions. In the very first pilot episode, Gumball was a blue dog and Darwin was a three-dimensional computer model that looked very realistic. These designs were scrapped before the show even hit the air because they did not look right. The version of Darwin we see in season 1 is a two-dimensional drawing, but in the pilot, he was a CGI fish. That original Darwin was deleted and sent to the void before most people even knew he existed. This is how the show perfects its look, by constantly erasing the parts that do not work. The transition from season 1 to season 2 saw a huge jump in quality for every single character. Their eyes got bigger and their colors became more saturated. This move deleted the muted and simple versions of the cast that started the series. If you watch an episode from the first season right after an episode from the 6th season, the difference is like night and day. It is a total transformation that leaves the past in the dust. So here's the deal, the show is a living thing that always sheds its skin to grow bigger. The most famous bully might actually be a victim of the show's success. Tina Rex was once the most terrifying thing in the school, and she was a major part of almost every early episode. She's a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex who lives in a junkyard and loves to bully the smaller kids. In the first season, she was a primary antagonist and had a lot of dialogue. Her voice was deep and scary, and she even had a complicated relationship with her father. She was a character with a lot of depth for a bully, but then something strange happened. As the seasons went on, she started to lose her voice and her screen time. She was not sent to the void like Rachel, but she was demoted to a background prop. She went from being a main threat to just being a large animal that stands in the back of the hallway. Most fans noticed that she stopped talking entirely after the 3rd season. She still appears in the show, but she is no longer a character with feelings or motivations. Basically, she was deleted as a personality and kept as a visual element. This is a very common thing in long-running cartoons where a character just runs out of stories to tell. Molly Collins is another character who faced a very literal deletion before being brought back as a shadow of herself. She was a sauropod dinosaur who was very sweet, but also very boring. The writers actually made her being boring part of the plot. In the episode about the Void, it is revealed that Molly was sucked into the dimension because she was just too dull for the world of Elmore. Gumball and Darwin had to go in and rescue her from being forgotten forever. Even though they saved her, she never really returned to her former glory. Molly's removal was a meta joke about how some characters just do not connect with the audience. The show was brave enough to admit that they made a mistake with her design. By putting her in the Void, they gave her a purpose that she never had before. She became the face of the forgotten characters. However, after she was rescued, she mostly stayed in the background. Her role was reduced to small cameos, which is a soft way of keeping her deleted from the main story. It is a sad fate for a character who was once a regular student. Then there is the case of characters who were meant to be bullies but were replaced by more interesting villains. In the early episodes, there were several kids who picked on Gumball, but they all faded away when Rob showed up. Rob was originally just a background character with no name, but he eventually became the main villain of the entire series. His rise to fame meant that characters like Tina Rex and the other bullies were no longer needed. They were deleted from their roles to make room for a much bigger and more complex story about revenge. This shifting of roles shows that the show is very careful about who gets to speak. If a character is not contributing to the humor or the drama, they are slowly moved to the back of the line. Tina Rex is still there, but she is like a ghost of her former self. She represents a time when the show was more about schoolyard antics than cosmic mysteries. Now that the show has moved on, she is just a reminder of the past. Hands down, she is one of the most successful characters to be effectively deleted without actually leaving the screen. The true master of the void is hiding in plain sight with a glitchy face. Rob is the most important character when talking about deletions because he is the only one who fought back against being erased. He started as a completely normal student who appeared in the background of many scenes in the first 2 seasons. He did not have a name and he did not have any lines. He was just another face in the crowd. Because he was so boring and useless, the universe itself decided to delete him. He was sucked into the void and left there to rot with the other mistakes of Elmore. This could have been the end for him, but he was too angry to disappear. He managed to escape the void by grabbing onto the back of a van, but the process changed him forever. He was no longer a normal boy, but a glitchy, high-definition character with a face made of static and polygons. This transformation made him the most unique character in the show. He remembered that Gumball and Darwin had seen him in the void and failed to save him. This key detail turned him into a powerful villain who wanted to destroy the world that had tried to forget him. He is the voice of every deleted character. Rob's story is a direct commentary on how television shows treat their background cast. He knows that he was once a nobody and he hates the main characters for being more important than him. He uses the power of the void to try and erase Gumball and his family. In several episodes, he uses a universal remote to literally pause time or delete parts of the world. He is essentially trying to do to the show what the show did to him. It is a very deep and dark motivation for a cartoon villain, and it makes him the most interesting part of the later seasons. What most people do not realize is that Rob's presence keeps the threat of the void alive in every episode. He is a constant reminder that anything in Elmore can be deleted at any moment. He even tries to warn the other characters that the world is ending, and that the void is going to swallow everyone. His arc is about the struggle to be seen and the fear of being forgotten. He represents the anxiety of every character who is not a lead. I'm not gonna lie, his glitchy design is one of the coolest things the animators ever created. Rob also interacts with other scrapped ideas while he is in the void. He sees the things that were too weird or too broken to be in the show. This includes characters like Fuzzy, who was a creepy pink toy that Gumball had as a child. Fuzzy was a one-time character who was buried in the background because he was too scary. He eventually found his way into the void too. Rob knows all the secrets, and he uses them to build his army. He's not just a villain, but a leader for the lost and the deleted. In the final episodes of the show, Rob tries to turn everyone into real human beings to save them from being cancelled. He thinks that if they look like real people, they cannot be deleted by the cartoon universe. This is a very meta plot that connects the show to the real world. He is trying to protect his friends from the void by making them boring and normal. It is a tragic plan that shows how much he fears being erased again. The void is always waiting, and Rob is the only one who knows how to fight it. The final secrets of the show are hidden in the original sketches from years ago. Before the show even began, there were hundreds of ideas that were deleted and never seen by the public. The original pitch for the show featured Gumball as a blue dog instead of a cat. This version of the character was much more nervous and had a very different personality. He was deleted because the character felt that a cat was a better fit for the mischievous things he wanted to do. This blue dog is technically the very first character to be sent to the void. He exists only in old sketchbooks and pitch bibles from 2007. There was also a character named Azrael who was a black cat meant to be a rival for Gumball. He appeared in the early reels but was completely removed before the first season started. The animators thought having another cat would be too confusing for the audience. So they deleted him, and his role was eventually split between other characters like Tobias and Rob. This is a common part of the process where characters are merged or erased to make the story tighter. Every show has a graveyard of these early ideas that just did not make the cut. Another strange deletion is the character of Splatty, who was a living blob of spray paint. He was supposed to be a street artist who could change his shape based on the graffiti on the walls. It was a cool concept, but it was too difficult to animate for every episode. Instead of struggling with the design, the creators just decided to delete him entirely. He never even made it to a speaking role. He's just another resident of the void now, along with the Acorn Kid and the female angel, who were also scrapped. The show even deleted entire episodes that were deemed too weird or too expensive. One famous example is an episode where the characters were supposed to interact with a real-life panda. The panda was a live-action animal that would have looked very out of place in Elmore. The writers realized it was a mistake and deleted the script before production finished. This panda is now a legend among the fans as one of the ultimate deleted characters. It's fascinating to think about how much content we never got to see because it was deemed a mistake. The final section of our investigation brings us to the present day where rumors of a new season are everywhere. Fans are wondering if the void will finally open up and let all the deleted characters back into the world. If the show returns in 2026, it could be the perfect time for Rachel Wilson and the others to get their revenge. The world of Elmore is built on a foundation of erased ideas and forgotten friends. What most people do not realize is that the void is not just a place in the show, but a symbol for the creative process itself. Does the void represent the fear of being forgotten in our own lives? Tell us if you think Rachel Wilson should ever return to Elmore. Like and subscribe for more mysteries. Would you survive in the void?